These teams are being way overlooked for the 2026 NFL season. I have 3 teams that have win totals that are ridiculously low, and these teams deserve way more respect than they're getting before the season starts. Before I continue on and reveal these 3 teams, make sure to hit the like button and to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on future content. Also, do me a favor, comment below, what team do you think needs more respect going into this year? I want to start this off with the one team that I have spent a ton of time since free agency, since the NFL draft, and any chance that I get, hyping them up. I think that the one team that we need to recognize that's being the most disrespected, the most overlooked, is the Carolina Panthers. Right now, their win total is set at over 6.5 wins. You can get that at minus 180 odds. I have not understood this disrespect to a Panthers team that won their division last year, albeit they have shown some issues. Bryce Young still needs to show consistency, that he can be the guy game in and game out, that he won't have the dud performances like he did at the end of the regular season, and he'll step up and play the way that he did in the playoffs and look more reliable. There is an opportunity here for this team to ascend and to take another step forward. I love this Panthers team because they are a young and improving team that is well coached. But most importantly, they had self-awareness this offseason. They had the recognition of, where do we need to get better? What are the positions that need to be addressed aggressively? They didn't try to duct tape those solutions together. No, they went all in. Let's start with free agency. They were 29th last year in the NFL in sacks. 29th. It was abysmal. Despite having some talent, I really like Nick Scourton. I think that Princely Umamielen could end up being a really good designated pass rusher for you, but they needed an alpha. They needed someone like Jalen Phillips, who is one of the best pressure-producing pass rushers in the NFL. He's going to be able to set up all the guys around him because he's so good at creating disruption. That is the type of free agent signing that allows for everybody else along the defensive line to play at a high level. I also really loved them going after Devin Lloyd, who was a player at middle linebacker that was highly sought after by multiple franchises that needed a new inside linebacker. Devin Lloyd, Jalen Phillips, 2 splash moves on a defense that was young but needed veterans that were ready to make a difference. I have been obsessed with their draft class. I thought that they were the biggest winner out of anybody from this past NFL draft. Monroe Freeling was exactly what they needed to do in terms of finding a player to step in and to start right away. He was one of the higher floor tackles, one of the more ready to play left tackles in this class. And I think that he's going to be a player that plugs in and performs at a solid enough level amongst an underrated offensive line that this team doesn't have protection issues. I loved the idea of them going and getting Lee Hunter to add to an already physical front. But most importantly, very underrated part about their draft class, even though I like the whole class, Chris Brazzell is going to help in an area where they need to be better, which is being more explosive in the pass game. They were 25th in EPA per pass last year, despite having a Rookie of the Year winner in Tyrone McMillan, who was awesome. He was a great player. But you know what they needed that they haven't gotten from their guy that was supposed to be the dynamic deep threat, Xavier Legette? That explosive play over the top. You know who's unbelievable at running deep routes and making big plays over the top? Chris Brazzell. Carolina Panthers need more respect. The next team that I'm shocked by how low their win total is the Washington Commanders. Their current win total is set at 7.5 at minus 115. I have not understood why we're just assuming that this team is going to struggle like it did a year ago, when in reality, it feels more likely that they get back to the version of themselves that reached the NFC Championship 2 seasons ago. I mean, heck, we were talking about Jane Daniels as a possible MVP winner. He was not going to win the award, but there were spurts during his rookie year where it felt realistic that Jane Daniels could be the MVP. If we're talking about a quarterback who elevated his team more or the most, it was Jane Daniels. You know what hurt them last year? Well, there were a couple issues with their roster, not many glaring ones. It's the fact that their elite quarterback was hurt. I think that Jane Daniels getting back on this field with some new faces around him are going to allow for this team to get back right where they were. I don't think that they're going to have any issues. I don't think that they're going to struggle. I think that this Commanders team needs to be recognized as a possible third playoff team in the NFC East. Right now, I feel more secure about them than I do the New York Giants, and I'm a Giants fan. They were 21st in quarterback pressures last year, and they had a lot of money to spend. What did they do? They spent that money on two pass rushers, two of the top pass rushers in free agency. They added Odafe Oweh and K'Lavon Chaisson. Now, those aren't guys that are going to be top 10 pass rushers in the NFL. But when you've got a great defensive mind and Dan Quinn, and you've got a good coaching staff, you're going to get the most out of those players. Sonny Styles is going to be the piece that takes them over the top. Knowing the importance of linebacker play, when Bobby Wagner, what he was able to do in his first year with the Commanders, he's a little too old now. How do you replace him? You had a pterodactyl to the middle of your defense, the most ridiculously explosive athlete that you could have dropped in the middle of your defense. And you got that. Dan Quinn gets his star athlete. I'm not even going to call him a linebacker. He is an athlete. Sonny Styles is going to be scary good this upcoming season. Could not have landed in a more perfect situation. I also think that Joshua Josephs is an underrated addition who's going to play into that pass rush rotation. And I think that Antonio Williams has an opportunity with a receiving room that's kind of thin right now to emerge as one of the more underrated rookie receivers for 2026. I like a lot of the things that the Commanders did this offseason. They're a big winner this offseason, and we should be recognizing that they are a ascending franchise, not one that is stagnating. And lastly, I think that potentially we could see two teams from the NFC South go to the playoffs. It's definitely possible. I think that the New Orleans Saints, currently their win total is at 7.5 wins at -110 odds, are going to be a lot better than that. I think that we're going to see them take a step forward and that they're going to be a team that is over 500, either banging on the door to get into the playoffs or just barely missing it. I don't think that this Saints team is going to be below 500 once again. A lot of the moves that they made this offseason, very underrated offseason, I think set them up for success. They were 31st in EPA per rush last season. Travis Etienne, even though he is not been super consistent during his NFL career, is an explosive runner and is capable of producing big plays. They haven't had a guy like that in some time since Alvin Kamara has aged the way that he has. I think that Etienne is the type of player that Kellen Moore is needed in order to wake up this run game. Tyler Shuck's growth is going to be paramount. And we saw at the end of the year that, he's older, but who cares? He's more ready to play. He seemingly showed that he's the guy that can lead this offense. Jordan Tyson and Bryce Lance, to me, provide him with two young, exciting targets. Chris Olave is also coming back, who is one of the more underrated receivers in the NFL. And then lastly, I really like that Christian Miller was their selection that they had in the second round and who is going to contribute to what has been a struggling, middling defensive line. They've needed a guy with the athleticism that Christian Miller provides to improve their interior rush. The Saints, to me, have what it takes to be that up-and-coming young team that shocks everyone. Comment below, folks. Who are you taking? Who do you think is the most underrated team in the NFL? Do you agree with me on these three picks? Hit the like button and subscribe. We'll talk to you later.